Okay, hi everyone. So we're just going to get started there. We're conscious of everybody's time. So look, a big welcome and thank you for joining us for today's lunchtime briefing, where we are focusing on the recently launched Green for Micro support introduced by the local enterprise offices around the country. Energy Cork and Cork Chamber are delighted to be delivering this briefing today for businesses in association with our colleagues at Cork City Local Enterprise Office. Thank you very much. This day last week, we had a lunchtime briefing targeted at larger businesses and heard about the sustainability offerings from Enterprise Ireland, IDA and SEAI. We'll have the videos of this briefing from last week and today's briefing on the Energy Cork website shortly for anybody who wants to refer back to these. So the goal of today is to keep it short and to the point, to introduce you to the new Green for Micro offering aimed at preparing small businesses for the low carbon and a more resource efficient future. This is a free program available to businesses with up to 10 employees and developed and supported by local enterprise offices nationwide. As ever, for Energy Cork hosted events, these would not be possible without the ongoing support of Cork County Council and Cork City Council through their respective economic development funds, in addition to the continued help of Cork Chamber. A couple of items of housekeeping before we get started. It should already be done so, but please, if you could keep your microphones on mute for the duration of the event. We'll have a short Q&A session following the presentations. Please use the chat box function to ask any questions you might have. You can pop these in throughout the session and we'll get to as many of them as we can in that Q&A segment. It's important to note as well that the local enterprise offices are here to help and they're available to answer any particular questions you may have following this event. So do get in touch and we'll pop contact details into the chat box function as we go through there. So I'd like to introduce our speakers today. So we have Ivan McCutcheon, Business Advisor, Cork City Local Enterprise Office. We have Kathleen O'Regan, Lean and Environmental Advisor with Enterprise Ireland. And we're joined by Justine Looney, owner of Cork Flower Studio. So we're delighted to be joined by our speakers today. And thank you very much for your time in participating in the event today. We really appreciate it. So look, I'm going to hand over there to Ivan. So Ivan, if you'd like to take it away there, and then we'll have Kathleen speaking around the support. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Welcome everyone, and in case I don't bump into you tomorrow, happy Earth Day. Firstly, just to state my appreciation for the work that Michelle and Kieran have done in putting this together today. It's small actions by committed people that will move the needle over time in terms of how we cope with climate change and how we address environmental degradation. From the perspective of the local enterprise office, Cork City, we're delighted to have the chance to support positive steps at company level through this new Green for Micro scheme. And we hope that our role in this regard will continue to develop as part of government generally addressing sustainable development goals for the country. And that role will involve supporting not just jobs and competitiveness, but also sustainability and resilience for businesses facing these challenges presented by environmental change and degradation. As a unit within Cork City Council, we're keenly aware of the need for local government to play a lead role through our on-the-ground presence, through our connections to community, in raising awareness, in supporting change, and indeed in taking action around climate change, adaptation, and environmental protection. From the LEO perspective, Green for Micro is just one of the many supports we offer. So we'd be delighted to hear from anyone on the call today about, to find out more about the other supports we have. We've a huge range of training courses on all aspects of starting and running a business, from finance through marketing and HR. And some of these have come under particular focus in the last year as the pandemic, for example, has focused many businesses to rethink about how they can offer value online and how they use digital technologies. So in that regard, the trading online voucher, for example, has been seen a huge demand over the last 12 months. We've also been very active in supporting preparation for and adaptation to Brexit, and we're still running customs training workshops. So book in for one of those if you're affected, or just call me directly. I'm the point of contact for Brexit queries. And the simplest thing really is just to check our website and subscribe to our newsletter, which comes out fortnightly and keeps everyone up to date on what's going on with Leo Cork City. So today is about the Green for Micro scheme, which went live 2 weeks ago. As I said, we're delighted to be involved, and we're very encouraged by the level of interest so far. We have 2 applications completed, and the businesses are up and working with consultants at this stage. We have another 2 applications underway, and we have more in the pipeline. And it would be great if we could get that number to 20 or 30 or more by the end of the year, and then we'd really start to see measurable impacts in terms of reductions in resource usage, energy usage, water, and so on. And the longer term goal, I suppose, is a more circular economy. And it was great to see Cork Chamber taking the initiative in running a MODOS program on circular economy training over the last 2 months. And congrats to Michelle and everyone involved in that. So Kathleen is going to perhaps as well also let us know about what might be available to businesses once they complete Green for Micro, if there's scope for further support or follow on. Anyway, my key message is that I'm very happy to take calls at any stage about this scheme. If you get started, once I see your application go up, I'll get in touch. Once your application is complete and submitted, I'll get in touch about having the conversation to find you a suitable consultant. We have a super panel of experts available as consultants. It's based on the Enterprise Ireland Green Directory. And over the last few weeks, I've been getting in contact with service providers in the directory to understand what they do and what they can offer to clients in the context of this program. So that's it from me. I'm looking forward to hearing from Kathleen as she talks through the program. I'm also looking forward to hearing Justine Looney from Cork Flower Studio about the work that they've been doing in terms of composting, recycling, growing, and so on, and to talking to you and in the discussion hosted by Michelle at the end of the session. So thanks, Michelle, back to you.
Hi, thanks, Ivan. That's great. And we might pop your contact details or any links you feel would be helpful into the chat box function there for people, just for handiness. And look, I think, you know, you mentioned so many of the supports there that over the last year, but always throughout have been so incredibly invaluable to businesses. And now with this support as well, the Green for Micro, I think it's really matching a need and an appetite there from the smaller businesses as well. So it's great, and we're delighted to be collaborating with you to bring this event today, and whatever we can do to promote it out to businesses, absolutely. So look, I'm going to hand over there to Kathleen. So Kathleen O'Regan from Enterprise Ireland. So get over to you there, Kathleen. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Michelle. I'll just share my screen. And can everyone see my screen there okay? Yep, perfect. Okay, so yeah, my name is Kathleen O'Regan and I manage the Enterprise Ireland Green programme. I'm also on the Local Enterprise Office and Enterprise Ireland committee that was developed the new Green for Micro offer and oversees now the running of the programme. So the programme, as you know, was launched during Local Enterprise Week there during the first week in March. So just over the next 15 minutes or so, just see, is my screen going to change? Sorry now. There we go. Sorry now, arrow wasn't working there. So over the next 15 minutes, I'm just going to discuss the objectives of the programme, business benefits and opportunities, an overview of the Green for Micro programme. I'll go through the application form and the project details that are required, and I'll also finish off that then with other supports. I just apologise in advance in that I was at the dentist there on Monday, so I have quite a lot of substantial bruising and swelling in my face. So, but look, I suppose the most important thing is that everyone can hear me okay. So the objective, there is a delayed reaction here. The objective of the Green programme is to help companies prepare for the low carbon, more resource efficient economy of the future. And with climate change, and we all see the devastating impacts of climate change globally and here in Ireland, we know we're living beyond our carbon means and that of our planetary resources. And if we keep going on the same trajectory, we'll use up the equivalent of 3 planets by the time we reach 2050. So with climate change, changing regulations, rising costs of energy, carbon taxes, rising costs of water, raw materials, changing stakeholder expectations and demands, and not just customer and supply chain, but banks, insurers, employees, it makes business sense for companies to improve their environmental performance and prepare then for the low carbon, resource efficient economy of the future, to identify risks and opportunities for the business. And the programme for government is for a 7% per annum reduction in greenhouse gas emissions out to 2030 and net zero by 2050, which equates to a 51% reduction in emissions by 2030. And this is in line with EU and global targets. So the science is clear. We must have our greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and to achieve net zero emissions no later than 2050 to avoid the worst effects of climate change. And companies that don't prepare are in danger then of being left behind. So what are the business benefits or the opportunities? Well, they include increased cost savings, increased resource efficiency, for example, using less energy, water and materials, reduced carbon or environmental footprint and greenhouse gas emissions, increased access to customers and improved corporate image. So businesses will be in a better position to win public and private tenders and to meet customer expectations. They will have an improved corporate image. There'll be opportunities for higher and additional value on products and services. So by understanding the environmental impact of your product or service, you will be in a better position then to develop new or improved product or services and to diversify into new ways of working with supply chains and customers. It will also lead to increased resilience to climate change impacts, whether they be physical, regulatory, financial, or reputational. And it will benefit employees. Skills learned can be applied at home, at work, and in the community. And this will help to maintain employees and attract new employees and can lead to improved relationship with the community. So this slide, sorry, now I went forward too many slides. This slide just gives an overview of the Green for Micro application and claim process. So it's a free program. It's open to all micro enterprises with up to 10 employees that are trading greater than 6 months and that have a turnover of greater than €30,000 per annum, either last year or the previous year. It consists of 2 days mentoring or consulting with a green consultant. The company completes an online application form, which is available on the local enterprise office website. And if the application is successful, the local enterprise office advisor and client will choose an appropriate expert from the local mentor panel or the Enterprise Ireland Green Directory. The assignment period is generally 6 to 12 weeks. And upon project completion, the final report and invoice are submitted by the consultant to the relevant LEO. The company will complete a feedback form following the programme, and after 6 months, the outcomes of this pilot programme will be reviewed. So in the application form, the company is asked to give details of their approximate annual energy, water and waste bills. And this information will be shared with the chosen consultant. It will enable the consultant to get a good idea of the business before commencing the project and will ensure the client gets the most out of the project. Applicants are asked to select the main area of interest that they may actually get support in more than one area if time allows, so it just depends on the project. So I'm actually going to go into each of these areas in more detail, and apologies if there's quite a lot of text in the slides, but it may come in useful when you are applying at a later date. So first of all, resource efficiency assessment. So resources are to include energy, water and raw materials. And examples of energy include energy used for heating, lighting, operating equipment, refrigeration and transport. And opportunities will include capital projects, feasibility studies, procedural and process changes and staff training. Renewable energy potential. The consultant will assess the business and site energy usage and recommend the most appropriate renewable energy system for the business. All renewable energy technologies can be considered, including solar panels, heat pumps, biomass boilers. The outcomes for both the resource efficiency assessment and the renewable energy potential are a register of opportunities, where the consultant will identify resource, emission and cost savings opportunities and provide information on cost and payback of opportunities identified. So if, for example, the opportunity was to upgrade lighting to LED, the consultant will identify the resource savings in kilowatt hours, the emission savings in kilogram CO2 equivalent, cost savings, what would the project cost, and then what would the payback be for that project. Environmental management systems. So the consultant will review environmental activities and practices on site and establish a baseline assessment to establish key performance indicators. They will provide suggestions on the format and frequency of reports and assist with the preparation of an environmental management system based on plan, do, check, act philosophy. They will also provide advice on risks, whether they be financial, reputational, regulatory or physical, and how to mitigate them. Moving on then to carbon or environmental footprint of products, organisation or service. So the consultant will show the company how to assess carbon or environmental footprint of their organisation, product or service to identify environmental hotspots and understand the emission profile. You might ask, well, what's the difference between a carbon footprint and an environmental footprint? So a carbon footprint measures 7 greenhouse gas emissions emitted and is expressed as a carbon dioxide equivalent. The 7 gases are actually shown on the next slide. An environmental footprint is based on a life cycle assessment, which is a standardized method for assessing the life cycle impact against up to 20 environmental impact categories, such as carbon, water depletion, eutrophication, toxicity. So a carbon footprint is a subset of a complete life cycle assessment. So this diagram is taken from the Greenhouse Gas Protocol, which is the most widely used international accounting tool for greenhouse gas emissions. It is too complex and detailed for micro-enterprises. However, the terminology used in the protocol is used universally in relation to carbon footprinting. So the Greenhouse Gas Protocol describes 3 types of emission profiles, Scope 1, 2, and 3. Scope 1 is the green arrow in the middle of the diagram, and these are the direct emissions from a company that are owned or controlled by the company. So, for example, fuel combustion, company vehicles, fugitive emissions, which could be leaks from refrigeration. Scope 2, which is the grey arrow to the left, are the indirect emissions from the generation of purchased electricity, steam, heating or cooling for own use. And Scope 3 are the purple arrows either side, and these are the other indirect emissions that occur in a company's value chain, upstream and downstream. So, for example, purchased goods and services, use of sold products, waste disposal, transportation, and employee commuting. Accounting for all carbon emissions can be a complex task, but calculating a basic carbon footprint that includes the main emission sources from Scope 1 and 2 is straightforward. And I've given 2 links here to their free individual or personal footprint calculators, which will help you understand your own footprint. The second link for carbon footprint calculator also has a small business calculator as well, and this will give you an estimate of your business footprint. It doesn't give a complete evaluation of your business's footprint, and it is actually a UK-based calculator. So, and the emission factors in the UK are different in Ireland. I know of 1 or 2 or a few Irish-based carbon calculators that are currently under development, so these will be available shortly. But this will still give you a good estimate. This slide shows the emission split in scopes 1, 2, and 3 for selected industries. So on the left, we have raw materials, so cement and steel and mining. And on the left, end products such as food, fashion, and fast-moving consumer goods. That's on the right. So the supply chain, scope 3 is in green. Consumed power, electricity, scope 2 is in light blue. And own operations, scope 1 is in darker blue. On the left, with the raw material industries, you'll see that most of the emissions for cement and agriculture come from operations, whereas on the right, end products, for example, the fast-moving consumer goods, fashion, food, automotive, most of the emissions actually come from the supply chain. So moving on then to environmental footprint or life cycle assessment. And there are 3 defined scope options when carrying out a life cycle assessment. There's cradle to cradle, cradle to grave, and cradle to gate. And as shown in the diagram here, the inner circle shows the product life cycle from raw material at the top to manufacturing to distribution to use of product to disposal and finally then reuse. Most life cycles are actually cradle to gate assessments, which is shown in grey. The cradle to grave, which is shown in orange, and the cradle to cradle, which is shown in green, can be very complex and require a lot of modelling and assumption of use. But the life cycle assessment of a product helps to make it more sustainable by highlighting the hotspots to focus improvement activities on. So there's no point to business spending all their time and resources in improvement activities if it only accounts for, say, less than 5% of their emissions. And life cycle assessments are used to generate environmental labels or environmental product declarations. An environmental product declaration is a declaration by a manufacturer of the environmental footprint of its product. And it can be used in all sectors, though at the moment we see it mainly used in the construction sector, and it's required by architects and developers for BREEAM or LEED building projects. And in certain countries, it's actually required now for submitting public tenders. So EPDs and environmental labels are used to improve products and also to promote or market products. This 2-day support will not be enough to generate an EPD, but it will give you, good information in terms of identifying hotspots to focus on. Moving on then to circular economy. So circular economy thinking means, looking beyond the current take, make, waste linear economic model to a circular model that minimizes waste and pollution by design, keeping products and materials in use and regenerates natural systems. So the consultant will help prepare a plan to identify and develop circular economy ideas for a more circular product, process or service. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation, who are renowned experts in circular economy, found that switching to renewable energy can only cut greenhouse gas emissions by 55%. The remaining 45% comes from how we make and use products and how we produce food. So 45% of the greenhouse gas emissions come from how we make and use products and how we produce food. So becoming more energy efficient and switching to renewable energy will only do so much. We need to embrace the circular economy. And the circular economy is based on reduce, reuse, recycle, refurbish, remanufacture, repair. It is based on the sharing economy that ultimately keeps materials and components and goods in use. Moving on then, and I won't go into the rest of them in as much detail, but eco-design. The consultant will provide mentoring or advice in innovative design for sustainability. So for example, designing a product from concept taking into account sustainability. Sustainable packaging. The consultant will assist with developing more sustainable, innovative packaging. Sustainable logistics. The consultant will provide mentoring or advice to measurably reduce greenhouse gas emissions and air pollutants and improve fuel efficiency. Communications. The consultant will provide mentoring and advice on internal and external sustainability communications, messaging and reporting. So in the application, there's a final option for other, and I've just given a few examples here. So one is sustainable strategy, where the consultant will provide mentoring and advice in the development of a sustainability policy, strategy and plans, and potentially aligning to national or international frameworks. And a national framework example for food sector companies is the board BR Origin Green. An example then of an international or global framework is the UN Sustainability Goals, which are a mixture of social and environmental goals that we see a lot of companies of all sizes, small, medium and large, aligning to. Green procurement and green tender, so integrating sustainability into the procurement or tendering process. Employee and customer engagement, so engaging employees and customers to create an environmental awareness and achieve long-term sustainable behavioural change. And finally then climate adaptation, so as to develop the skills and identifying and understanding the climate risks and opportunities. So finally then, my last slide is just on other supports that are available, and you probably know more about the MODIS program, which is the Cork Chamber Circular Economy Training Program than I do, but that's available and is a great initiative, as mentioned by Ivan. Skillnet have recently launched a climate ready website, and I definitely recommend checking it out. So there's Skillnet programs, but they also have masterclasses which are free to attend. And they actually started this week, so it's worth checking out the Skillnet climate ready website. SAI then have a number of SME supports, including a free online energy training academy. They do run energy focused workshops, and they have work-based resources on their website. And they have another number of financial supports, such as Better Energy Communities, Support Scheme for Renewable Heat, Electric Vehicle Grants, and Accelerated Capital Allowance. Irish Water then give tips on their website in terms of business conservation tips in relation to water, and they run an online water stewardship program for large water users. The EPA have a tool on their website for resource efficiency questionnaire. And then RD&I supports will include the Innovation Partnership and Agile Innovation, which is available through the local enterprise office, and the EPA have a Green Enterprise Innovation Fund for the circular economy. It's worth keeping an eye on the Lean Business Ireland website, the events section, for upcoming green and lean events or webinars. And a recent initiative or launch was the Climate Jargon Busters. There's a lot of jargon in relation to climate and sustainability. So this is a guide, and it kind of, I suppose, easily explains the different terms, but it is factually correct as it has been checked by the EPA. And it's also worth checking then with third level education, and so, for example, contact your local third level college to find out other courses, as well as research and collaboration opportunities. Ivan did mention earlier on about other supports potentially available as a follow-on from the Green for Micro. So Enterprise Ireland has a Green Start and a Green Plus support available to Enterprise Ireland client companies. But the plan is to make this available also to local enterprise office client companies as a follow-on from the Green for Micro. So just to give a brief description, the Green Start is a 7-day support, it's 80% funded. So it could be a potential follow-on from your Green for Micro. And the activities that I've just outlined can be supported in more detail under the Green Start. So thank you.
Hi, Kathleen, thanks so much. You know, there's such an amount that is supported through the Green for Micro, so it's really fantastic support. And as Ivan was saying, there's 2 companies registered at the moment. So it'd be great to see that ramp up, you know, and there's that opportunity to get on board with that and be part of that kind of support scheme there. So no, it's brilliant. And I guess, you know, you can focus on the challenges, but there's also the opportunities as well, you know, and there's such big opportunities from a resource efficiency perspective, cost saving perspective. Conscious consumerism is becoming more and more part of the normal conversation. People want to, and they're interested, and the appetite is there to know more about the product and service that they're using, you know, and even guiding their kind of consumption options or what they might consume or the service you might use. So this support really seems as a fantastic way in kind of mapping out, you know, what you're hoping to do, what you are doing, and even guiding future actions as well, you know, so it seems to hit across all of those kind of, you know, the variety of what you might want to do within your business. So it's brilliant. So I'm just going to introduce Justine Looney there as well. So Justine is owner of Cork Flower Studio. And Cork Flower Studio, you know, you're implemented so many fantastic initiatives there on your own premises, Justine, and you have that fabulous parklet just outside the door as well, which has become such an incredible focal point on Douglas Street. And I'm always, any opportunity I get to direct people to go down and have a look at that, I absolutely do. So look, I'll hand over to Justine there if you could maybe just outline and give an introduction to what you're doing there on site. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, I'm Justine. I'm from Cork Flower Studio on Douglas Street. We have a flower shop and also a takeaway coffee shop and Irish Design Gallery. And we also have the People's Parklet outside. So it's the first of the parklets in Cork City. So I think there's 10 more to come, but we got the first one about 2 years ago, and it's been a fabulous addition to the street and a great boost to our business as well. So I suppose it was one of, it sort of ties in with the different initiatives we've been pushing with our kind of green agenda, so many people now buy coffee and sit outside because there is somewhere to sit, and it's just sort of, so I'll start with the coffee side of the business. It started us thinking on, first of all, how many empty cups we had at the end of the day, and that's not even litter, that's what people are handing back, and you know, it's filling our bins, and then it has this massive knock-on effect. So we heard about to-go cups, which is a cup deposit scheme which had started in Ireland a couple of years ago, and we started in January last year, and we closed for a couple of weeks at the start of COVID, but even taking that into account, we've reduced our cup costs by almost 50%. And at the time, we decided to just go all or nothing. Don't give people the choice, just get rid of the other option. And it's been a massive success for us. The idea is people pay €1 deposit for the cup. If they hand it back, they get the euro back. But if they hang on to it, they've sort of paid for it. It's covered its cost. So yeah, it's been a great initiative, and it's reduced the amount of waste we have in our bins, and it's also tied us in with other cafes that are doing it as well. So basically, you can drop your cup back to any cafe in the city, and you get your euro back. So it's always worth €1. So that sort of spurred us on then to change to the glass bottles for our milk, and that's from Glouth Cross Dairy, and they deliver the milk every week and collect the empty bottles as well, and we get a 50-cent rebate on every bottle that we return. So there's a bit of an incentive there too. So we're just finding that through even talking to customers about it. So we've taken away, on one hand, we've taken away their choice, but by talking them through it, we've really discovered that there's this massive interest in doing something, but not knowing where to start. So when the option is put in front of you, or when there is no option, when it's put in front of you, people are really kind of coming back to us because of that, which has been really great to see. So that's kind of say the coffee side of the business. Then in the flowers, which is probably our main business, we also decided last year, so floristry for quite a long time was becoming more about packaging and plastic nearly than about the flowers themselves. An example I always use is if you look at a photograph of the flower tributes that were left at Buckingham Palace when Princess Diana died. It's amazing how when you think that it's flowers you're looking at, you see flowers, but if you think about it and packaging, you'll just see this massive sea of plastic that was left outside. It's just amazing how your perception can change once you're aware of it. So we decided to get rid of the plastic. We're aiming to become zero waste with the flower side of the business. So we decided we'd change to glass vases for all our bouquets. And again, we took away the option of one or the other. That's what you can get, and that's it. And it's just been, again, a huge success. We printed cards allowing people the option to drop the vase back when they're finished with it. And you know, we'll give them a coffee in exchange, or we'll take it off the cost of their next bouquet. Yeah, it's been huge, and especially throughout lockdown, we've been exceptionally lucky. We've been one of the busy businesses because flowers sort of cover so many different occasions that maybe other businesses unfortunately couldn't for the last year. So we've had a huge kind of knock-on of people ringing to say, are you the shop that do the glass vases, because I received one and I love it and I want to send it again. So it's been a huge increase in business for us, and we would put a lot of it down to sort of the idea that people love having something sustainable handed to them, and that they don't have to go to this huge effort to try and be the one who's being environmentally conscious and being sort of making this big effort, or sometimes even kind of making a sacrifice. I think that's taken out of it, because you're still getting something that's really lovely, but you feel like you've done something good as well. So that's been really good for us. Then for the flowers, we've started to kind of look into more locally produced products, because Brexit, I suppose, is one reason, and also this whole sustainable journey has started us. It's such a knock-on effect to each aspect of the business that each time we kind of accomplish something, we kind of go, God, there's this other thing that we could be doing. So all our foliage now is Irish grown in Cork and Kerry, and we're in talks with local flower farmers to try and start phasing in more Irish grown flowers, and to just become a little bit more sort of locally sustainable as well. I don't know if I'm rushing now, Michelle, but I'm trying to fit it all in. So what will be next? Oh yeah, so just then our own suppliers, I suppose we've started to get a bit braver about our own position and the strength of our position, and just sort of saying to people that we don't want packaging, and that we don't want everything that we've ordered to come in these, you know, swathes of plastic and tape and all of that, and people are actually responding to it. We've written to a good few of our larger suppliers about it, and they are kind of responding, so it is on everybody's radar, and it's amazing. You don't really think that you can have that kind of impact, but when you sort of put it to them that, you know, that's kind of one of your main aims now, and people are really engaging with it, which is great. We do sell Irish design crafts and things as well, and the designers and craft producers tend to be more kind of eco-aware anyway, so they're really keen and enthusiastic about kind of exploring packaging options and things like that. And then I suppose deliveries is another one that we've embraced in the last year. We invested in a cargo bike, and we do all our local sort of city centre deliveries now by cargo bike, which has been brilliant for advertising. There's a real novelty factor about it, but it's also great for being efficient. You know, driving in any city centre, I think, is just, it's almost pointless unless you really have to get to the other side of it, maybe, and beyond. In the city centre itself, the cargo bike's amazing. You can drive on pedestrianised streets. You can stop outside the door of where you're going. We've done whole runs of deliveries in like 15 minutes door to door, which has been, you know, when you take the van, you tend to have to find parking. You've got one-way systems, you've got loading bays. You know, it's just this whole added thing. So not only are we saving on time, we're saving on fuel, and we're giving ourselves or whoever takes the bike the headspace to get out of the shop for a while and just get some fresh air. So that's been a massive success for us. We bought it initially as a pedal bike, but we have the option of adding an electric motor, so we may do that at some point and be able to go further afield. And there's just a few other things. Composting, we're composting as much of our own green waste as we can, which is quite time consuming, and we are looking at possibly employing somebody to do it for us. Because all of these things, like in general, the business has got much busier in the last 12 months or so. So it's creating employment as well, I suppose, in the long run. And we have started harvesting rainwater as well, which mostly we just use for kind of plant maintenance and things. So whether that be in the parklet or our own flowers and things that we grow, for the moment, that's what we've been using that for. So we've got an awful long way to go, but we always sort of feel like it's better to have, you know, millions of people making a small effort than have, you know, one person who has it cracked. So we're really keen now to see how this green microgreen project goes. We'd be really interested to be involved. So I think that's probably.
That's brilliant, Justine. Thanks so much. My goodness, you've been busy there. It's really great to hear that story and hear from a business, and, you know, hear about the efforts that you're doing, and you're looking at so many different aspects of your business. You know, I think it's really interesting what you were saying there. Even, you know, it can be, you know, a lot of it can be that communicating the message, why you're doing that. You know, you're part of the cultural shift. Then you're getting people to acknowledge that, okay, we're shifting from paper cups or from, you know, plastics instead to vases, and this is our reasoning for doing it. And actually, because you're communicating that so effectively, and you're giving people that option through your business to be sustainable, that you're really creating a kind of momentum and customer loyalty as well, and even driving new business, you know, because you are putting in all those efforts and trying to be so sustainable. So it's really incredible. Fair play to you. And also even what you were saying about the advocacy that you're doing up and down the supply chain. So, you know, in kind of speaking with your suppliers about the, you know, the materials that the products are being supplied to you in as well. I think that's a really important aspect of the conversation as well. So look, I'd like to open up to the questions, the Q&A section now. So look, we have Ivan, Justine and Kathleen who are happy to answer your questions there. And we do have a number of questions now, so I'll just kind of run through those now. So first of all, we actually had a question from Conor O'Brien, and likely it's for yourself, Ivan, just in relation to the Green Directory. Is that in the public domain at the moment, or you might?
Yeah, I think Kathleen and I both posted that there in the chat, so the link is there. It's on Enterprise Ireland's website.
That's brilliant.
So like it's a conversation anyway that we'll have. So it's great if people can have a look at the directory, and as time goes by, we'll get to know more of the consultants as well, and understand what value they bring to it. So.
Perfect. Thanks, Ivan. I hadn't spotted that, so thanks for popping it in there as well. A question as well for Kathleen and Ivan there, just from Harry O'Farrell. Harry is Vice Chair of Energy Cork there as well. So it'll be important to scale up the activity in the micro space. Are there plans to develop a collaborative cluster type program to engage with multiple micro enterprises at the same time? So aggregating those opportunities as such.
Well, no, not at the moment, I suppose. This Green for Micro is a pilot, so it will be reviewed in 6 months' time, and we'll get feedback from companies that have undertaken the project. So there's no plans at the moment, but we'll see how things go.
Okay.
I would say that we are looking at how we could use Green for Micro with a group, so we could combine it with other supports. So, for example, if we had a group with kind of from a single sector or a single area, you know, we could offer group coaching through our mentoring program, and then have them collaboratively work towards implementing things that they could be supported through Green for Micro with in terms of expertise. It has been done in other parts of the country. We just the focus for now is on getting this going. And getting a bit more of a grounding ourselves in it, but we would be interested in working with groups. Yeah, it's not immediately clear how to do it, but I think it can be done.
Perfect. Thanks, Ivan. Yeah, I think there's it's the opportunity, isn't it, to get people together even, and there's even an element of mutual support and peer support when you're doing things like that as well. So that's great. Thank you. I have a question here from Ronan O'Brien as well. Is the scheme open to construction companies?
Yeah. Once it meets the criteria of the less than the 10 employees, yeah. All sectors, yeah.
Great, okay. And there's more information on the website as well, and I think that link was shared earlier. So do go on and have a look at that, and it's very well laid out there as well. Look, I suppose we're kind of edging towards the close of the event. It's been really great. You know, just to hear the stories from everybody, and just to hear more about the support, and even just to familiarize ourselves as well with the depth of it and the opportunity for it to evolve as well, you know. So I think that's really interesting to see how it is relatively new as well. So to see after the 6 months how the pilot is going, and then see that what those opportunities are as well, and how it will grow, because the need is there. You know, and this is such a good support for smaller businesses to be able to guide their own activities and what they want to do in that transition to low carbon, you know. So look, I'd like to say a big thank you to our speakers. So to Ivan, Kathleen and Justine, thank you so much for your time and insights shared. Absolutely, thank you so much. And for bringing us through this and familiarizing us with the support and the work that's been done on the ground as well through a local Cork business. So that was fantastic. Also a big thank you to Paul McGurk and the team in Cork City Leo for facilitating today's event. Thank you very much. As ever, thanks to Cork City Council and Cork County Council for their continuing support via their economic development funds. And thanks to you all for tuning in and engaging with the discussion as well. If you have any feedback on the event or would like to discuss any speaking opportunity, even at any future briefing, don't hesitate to get in touch. Also, just to remind you that the video for this, the recording will be put up on the Energy Cork website shortly, as will the one from last week's session as well. So it might be interesting to, watch one to the other kind of thing, and just to see really comprehensively what's out there. So look, thanks again and take care, and hope to see you all again soon. Okay, take care. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Kieran. Thanks, Kathleen.